back at it again. We are back at it again. Hi, I am Deligod. I'm a musician. I am a vocalist. I am an author. I'm a metaphysician. I do many things. I work within land co-ops and such. So, yeah, that's me. This is part two, talking about metaphysics of writing, right? And one of the books that I had put out, right? A lot of people don't know this was it was a study guide on how to create deities, which goes into entity creation as a whole. How shamans would form together these different deities or forces of nature by what they were observing, what they seen on the other side, or what they seen in nature, and was able to define it, right? Defining this phenomenon, um, which is what I am essentially doing for these new times in my books, is defining certain phenomena that are taking place. But we put it in fiction, we put it in the metaphysical arena because that's where it's at. You know, occult sciences, occult meaning hidden science. Nothing scary about that. It's just a hidden science. Um, yeah, I got a lot of background in studying deities and pantheons and different spirituals as a whole. Some things I ended up getting initiated in, such as was that some Santeria, some Okumi, some Ifa. Um, I got some Vondun underneath my belt. I got what else? So Christianity, Baptist. Um, what else? I've studied Judaism, Islam. I'm not super proficient in Islam, but specifically out of Islam, I was studying King Solomon, and his dealings with jinn and whatnot. Um, yeah, I have a familiar background. I study these things because I want to know about the phenomenon in the world. I don't know what the answer is out here, right? But I do know from at least an occult perspective, the hidden science of things, I have to tap into self. And seeing is that a lot of these things may be in my DNA due to just over cultural span and just figuring out it's like what are these energies on the planet, what were the ancients, priests and shamans and sages, what were they thinking when they brought these gods or deities into fruition, or that they channeled, or that walked the planet when they observed them? What were they thinking, you know and I feel like it goes into each deity, each symbol, each idea they were bringing forth is to tell a story of what's going on inside of us. Shout out to Manly P. Hall and some of his work, the occult anatomy of man, um, where it breaks down certain symbols that we run through, like in the Bible and Islam and Judaism and the Aztec culture, the Olmec cultures. How do these symbols as metaphors tie back into something inside of us, being that our human bodies are the manifestation of the temples? They say our temple is the body of the living God, and God is supposed to work through that temple. So if we are the temple, are all these symbols measuring up to what we got going on inside? Like I think in that book they talk about how with Jesus, right, or Yeshua, how he died at 33. He's supposed to be conscious. We have 33 vertebrae in our, as a human being. Each one of us has 33 vertebrae. 33rd vertebrae goes into that skull, into that brain cavity right there, where our so-called enlightenment is supposed to be. So it it's it's interesting. It's like third vertebrae is where it stops, where it goes into the brain, it goes into the consciousness, being that this character of Jesus is presented as a conscious, if not bodhisattva kind of character, damn near like a Buddha or enlightened or awakened one of those times, and interesting in the text, when it's quoted on the red text, it's like, you could do all these things, if not greater, if you're walking a similar path. They say you're all God's children of the Most High. All of you are the creators here, the co-creating here, which brings me back to the writing element. We, you know, we are penning our reality. The books we read, they were probably maybe divinely influenced, and even so, it is man who are bringing the script to you. Man, there's no higher father, invisible figure just manifesting the books. Now, it could be divinely influenced. That's possible. It could be just someone who's just like, hey, I just feel like writing this down and writing down what I see. It could be that, people taking the old science and rewriting it for their newer times. That also takes place. You know, and I actually got the idea to write my series from the Bible because the Bible is a book of several books written by several different people, orchestrated by someone who left out other books that might can contribute to that. And I love that. You know, like certain books that that I'm going to be putting out, some things are forbidden for just for the public. You would have to be initiated into what I got going on over here in that Ahava. You feel me? That's what my books are based off of. This Kingdom of Ahava, which I started a ministry off of. You know, I'm still building it. But the reason why that is because we don't cast pearls to swine. I'm not calling. Well, this is what I am calling swine: the ignorance. A lot of times you'll get a hold of something that's scary looking on the book, and you instantly think this is demonic. A lot of the ancients would make shit look scary, so you stop you at the gate. You're too scared to go into those scary images when there could be some true consciousness laying behind those gates. You know, and shit. Even in within the psychedelic community, as far as like dealing with high dose mushrooms, when you're going into those realms, you might see like monster ish looking beings, some dark looking beings, some Dormammu looking shit. You have to remember that this is your mind. You rule there. This is your mind. So those monsters that you see, even on those psychedelics or your hallucinations, they're your monsters. They belong to you because they're in your mind. In fact, you're the one that tells them what to do, right? A lot of us we don't know how to deal with that because we're so used to Hollywood or people creating films that it's like, okay, these are the scary beings. They don't look like us. Therefore, they don't act like us. Therefore, they must be evil. We've seen this before. That's right. Racism. You got certain groups of people that was like, okay, those groups of people that look weird, they don't look like us. They don't act like us. They got a whole set of different rituals and rites and ceremonies that we're not familiar with. They must be evil. Y'all think the same. But I'm not saying you're racist inherently. I'm saying you're biased based off your visuals, right? Which is understandable. You control your reality. You don't want to see some wicked looking thing. But have you seen what's in the ocean? Some wicked looking things out there, Some things is like it's hard to look at in nature. Like, why does it look like that? But it's part of nature. It's here, it exists. And once you start, facing those things, being able to see through them, Then you can move past it to get to higher levels. You know, yeah, I've read all kinds of books, and gone to all kinds of studies. I had a motherfucker tell me, like, yo, you must be worshiping Satan. Nah, there's so much material out here that people will hide some shit under some shit that looks demonic. Until you go into it, you don't know what the fuck you dealing with. But also, some of y'all ain't ready for some shit like that. Stay the fuck away from it. Because your mind's not right. You don't know how to put yourself in a neutral space. All you think is pretty much negativity. Yeah, I was just talking about so I do the series on the metaphysics on writing and manifesting and shit.
Yeah.
And you know how a lot of us perceive information, right? Because our minds is not right. So we have there be some books I read, and I've noticed this by just going into occult sciences, right? Occult science just means hidden science, none more, none less, hidden science. Sometimes they'll put some scary images right on the front just to scare you to keep you from going into it. And it's just like a lot of times they'll do that to hide the conscious shit. And people be like, oh, that's evil. It's like you have to get over that thing in your mind. Be that, we're at an entheogenic place, right? I've taken high dose mushrooms and I've seen some wild shit as far as like beings that otherwise look monstrous, right?
Yeah.
And I remember somebody called me, because I also work at one of those entheogen church, right? They, gave a nice little phone call, and it's like, what do I do when I enter this space in my mind? When I see the scary shit, and I'm like, you just gotta look at it. You gotta go through it because it's your mind.
Can't go around it.
Exactly. So it's like when you're in your mind, you can't be scared of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. It's coming from you.
Exactly. And I want people I want people to like understand that, like what we write, what we manifest is coming from you. Even if it's divinely influenced and you're the tool to pull it out, you're the creators of your story. When you let somebody else tell your story, they might get it the fuck wrong. And so I like to tell people, it's like, hey, because I'm doing a writing workshop on this Saturday. Get in the habit of writing your story, writing your thoughts out. Because you're going to be the one dictating your reality.
Organize your ideas. Yeah, exactly. You can put it in plain, make it easy to comprehend for yourself and other people.
Oh, that's right. I'm streaming inside of the gym. What kind of shit is that? It was chill. But that's essentially what we got, what I was talking about. Because I've had people be like, oh, you read this? That's evil. I was like, that's not, you're just ignorant. And I get upset.
You don't know, you don't know about it. Yeah.
And
the initial, everything is like that, I feel like. The deep divers and the people who want to know about what it is, they're going to go past whatever initial, because you say perspective, or no, you said, what did you say? You said perspective?
Perspective on, well, yeah, that's what's wrong with perspective, because it's all about, the perspective.
It's how you said how you think, how you see it, and part of it's how much you see, how much you delve into. And it's like, you don't know until you know. And even then, you don't know.
Yeah. I can speculate all day. And it's not going to be, that's why I enjoy writing books. I just put out my 6th like a couple weeks ago. And one thing I like to pin in my books, like either at the beginning or the end, like I'm the creator of this universe right here. maybe not this universe, but I have at least this control on this
Over
book.
mine, exactly.
And like for example, sometimes we get ourselves involved in other people's conflicts, other subgroups, other nations. Sometimes some shit ain't our problem, and we need to focus on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we should focus on ourselves is because we got to get ourselves in order. If we do want to have the power to help,
Exactly.
get self in order first. Get your
Yeah.
mind together first, so you can go in and
You have to be ready, exactly. I've been telling people because, like, I see nothing wrong with seeing similarities of other groups or other people, but you see the similarities when you have the ability to look at it properly. When you don't have the ability to look at it properly, you can't even see if that's someone like me or I'm in that boat too. You're just like, oh, it's in the order of operations thing. I get what you're saying.
Yep, and I tell people this all the time. They're like, whoa, because I had disappeared from like the scene for a few years to find self, find purpose, and part of that was getting into storytelling. But my mindset before the 3 years was I got to separate from white people first because I've been integrated in the system my whole life. Then I had to think even harder. I have to separate from even my own people too to get myself together because I have to find out what my identity first, and then I can go into the group identity.
You know who you are, exactly. Yeah. It's very important.
And then I could blend into the even greater group identity as the human race. But I had to get into the self first, and then,
it's like subgroups, yeah. And it's like you said, when you're brought up in a system that you really don't have control over, finding your identity is the key to thinking how you're thinking now, how you're thinking how other people can. Like now I can relate to these people because I'm not just one of these people who always doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to see it first and then make the connection. You know what I mean? So I get that. It's hard. Right on.
Yeah, that's a lot of the work that I'm doing. It's like I tell people, even going into the entheogenic spaces, right? Because I remember doing entheogens recreationally, and then I started doing it ceremoniously, and noticing like,
Shift.
yeah, even getting into Buddhism after doing ceremonial stuff, fasting. Remember going to a silent retreat where the only acceptable language was like 300 pages of Tibetan. Yeah, and it occurred to me like I would have put people through this process so they can at least get their minds together, so they can then they could start to fabricate thoughts and think, and then write down what they need to, and that goes for not just the writing but for the psychedelics too.
Everything.
Because I noticed when I hit the herb when I got back, it took me right back to the statue of Chenrezig, the thousand armed bodhisattva of compassion. So I was just like, that's what this is supposed to do. It's like I can see why.
Yeah, it's the perspective. The same thing. Like when you have something, it's like preemptive work. It's like prerequisite almost, so you can really properly, you know what I'm saying, like the intended use, the intention. You know what I'm saying? I get that. Yeah. That's helpful.
So it's like when I tell people, hey, I'm diving into the dark side for me is subconscious. Not nothing evil, not nothing malicious.
Real.
It's the subconscious mind. That subconscious mind is the underworld. That's where a lot of like delayed thoughts go. It's like
everything,
old
right?
thoughts.
It's like insecurities and then like your subconscious thinking. Like it's the negativity that comes from that is because it's not in your forefront of thing. It's so crazy, yeah. The trip.
So yeah, that's the reason, what for this live and why we write and the metaphysics of writing. Because I see when, like, even with Michael Jackson, when he wrote out what he was going to become and became
that. Manifesting is very important.
So
I just did my like 6-month plan. I wrote out my 6-month plan for like my business, and like now all my ideas don't seem as far off. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can hit this. Like this is attainable because I see it every day, and then I edit it and I make it. You know what I'm saying? Like you have more of a. It feels like it makes more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the point. You organizing your thoughts.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank y'all.